It is parallelogram time. Okay, we are going to work on finding the area of a parallelogram in this video. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to draw our little parallelogram. Try and make this as even as possible. Okay, so we've got our parallelogram here. If we remember from our last video talking about the area of rectangles, we now know that area is our base times our height. We also remember that our base can be any one of these sides. For convenience sake, we're going to choose this bottom part here as our base. And if we also remember, our height has to be perpendicular to our base. Now, we haven't really talked a lot yet about what perpendicular means, but for our sake, we're going to talk about perpendicular as being something that we can make a straight line to our base, like right here, and it's going to make a little right angle, a 90-degree right angle right there. So it's a straight line that makes that nice little corner. And as you can see, we've kind of drawn that line right here. When we're talking about area, we always want to get back to kind of our home base. Our home base is going to be back to that rectangle that we know how to find the area of. So we always want to get back to our rectangle, because for our rectangle, we can use our base times height equals area to find the overall space inside that 2D object. So we want to be able to make our parallelogram back into that rectangle there. And if we're looking at it, we can maybe see a number of different ways to do this. So the first one, and kind of the most obvious one that I think we can think of, is where we drew this dotted line. We can see we got a little triangle there. And over here, if we were to imagine a little triangle, it would fit pretty perfectly. So if we take our triangle here, and we kind of chop it off the end, and we move it over here, and then kind of draw our arrow, what's going to happen is we're going to make our parallelogram again, only this time, when we add that triangle, that remember it was right here, and we moved it over here. So now we have this nice rectangle sitting there waiting for us. And here, I'll get another color so we can really see how we've got this rectangle here for us that we're used to. So we've got this rectangle that we made from our parallelogram. Okay? And then we can look and we can say, well, here's our base. And then we can say, here, this line right here is going to be our height. And we can take those measurements from this original parallelogram. So let's say in our original parallelogram, we had a base of 3, and we had a height, this line right here that runs perpendicular, of 4. So we'll just transfer that down because we didn't lose any space. We just moved the space around, remember. Okay? So our new base, just going to drag that, this 3 came down here, and our height is going to be, we'll draw it over here, 4. That came from up here. Okay? So now we can use our formula that we know for finding the area of a rectangle. We'll take our base, which is 3. We'll multiply that by our height, which is 4. 3 times 4 equals 12. We've got an area of 12, and I should have put in units here. We'll just use a generic unit, so we'll say it's 12 units. That was my fault, guys. Okay, so we've got 12 units squared. And you can do that for any parallelogram. You just have to kind of chunk it, move it around to turn it back into that rectangle that we know what we're talking about.